Hello, and welcome to the Business Behind Small Business, the show that reminds you that just because you own a business doesn't mean you're a business owner. In each episode, we will discuss a common issue small businesses face and offer tips and advice from the perspectives of two business owners, one that built to sell and one that built to inherit. We are your hosts, Sevana Stone and Chloe Lee. There's a lot of business behind small business, so let's get to it. Business cards, an essential part of doing business, right? You go to a function, you hand out your business card, you collect everyone else's business card, and when you get home, you have a pocket full of strangers and you don't know what you're going to do with them. Most often, people collect them as though they're trading cards, and they pile up until you've no idea what to do anymore. Why do we collect business cards? Let's start there. What's the end result? We're not all a culture of professionals who hoard cards, are we? No, we think we're being polite and taking a card as a way of connecting or maybe disconnecting, and then we've no clue what to do now. Good thing we're here to help. Before we begin, we should note our disclaimer. We are not licensed financial experts, nor do we give financial advice. Anything we share with you here on our podcast, whether it be a personal experience or submission, or advice, tips that have worked for us or that we believe would work for you, should not be viewed as either financial, business, or tax advice. We ask for you to do your research, have open and honest conversations with your company's own support providers, and make decisions based upon that. Throughout this broadcast, we will share our knowledge and give suggestions and hope you will receive them as part of your overall research to better your own company.
Business cards.
Oh my God, they're my favorite.
So I have such a love-hate relationship with business cards. So first of all, I love my own business card. I'm not going to lie. I was very proud of the business cards we had at my last company. And it evolved from a very flimsy Staples printed business cards where they give you like 1,000 for $5, so you know exactly how cheap it is, to having some very like quality, heavy weighted stocked business cards that I'm proud to say people tell me that they keep all the time because it's so pretty.
Oh, yay.
So I say that business cards are great when you have them handy and you're having an amazing conversation with somebody and you want to make sure you connect afterwards. But you don't want to just put their phone number in your phone. That way so a business card can come in and it's a great way to kind of exchange contact information rather quickly to catch up after the fact. Now, I also hate having business cards when people who, before they even speak a word to you, come at you with a business card between their fingers, and that's how they start the conversation.
I have to say that this is going to be one of my favorite podcasts ever, because this is just opening up reminding me of all of the things that make me want. Anyway, go on.
But you know,
I don't want to offend anyone, but oh God, I don't want to offend anybody, but it drives me bonkers bananas when people just hand you a card without even saying anything, or they walk up to you introducing themselves with a card. It's like, you don't know if I want your card. Don't be a sack harassing me with your card.
It's super tacky. I feel like it's super tacky. I feel like it's something of the past. I think maybe in the past few decades, in the early decades, that was a good idea. But now because you also know it's almost like they're treating you like a drive-through. So then come by, give your card, say the few like lines they prepared, and they've tried them many times, and you can tell they're not even really listening to what you're saying, just so they can like check a number of, this is the umpteenth person I talked to at this event, and then they move on. So anyway, so now I'm left with like trash.
Well, this kind of speaks to what we talked about in our last episode, where it's so what do you do? I do this, blah, blah, blah. Here's my card. Off I go. And it's like, no, it doesn't work that way. A card is an extension of the conversation. It's not, it's not the billboard of the conversation. It's an extension of it. It's the appetizer or the dessert.
I agree with that. like really well-made business cards in a sense are kind of like mini marketing tools, right? They're like a mini marketing handout that you can give somebody. And if you do your card right, it's a great way to kind of show off your brand and your personality. It should be something that somebody can remember you by the next day when they pull out the card from their wallet or purse to be able to look you up and try to connect with you afterwards. It should remind them of who you are and what your conversation was. And it should remind them of the impression that you left. So really good business card can essentially be a work of art and something hopefully that, somebody doesn't even want to throw away because it's so nice. Now, on the flip side, of course, probably the same people who does the drive-by, business card handout, flimsy, cheap business cards. It's like, you're not even trying, man. Like, what is the point of having them at that point? For me, I do like collecting business cards of people that I want to connect with the next day on something like LinkedIn, right? And I mean, I do the same thing. If it's a really nice card, I kind of hold on to it, and have them around and whatnot. Use them as use them as bookmarks or something, right? But I do have them around, and that's the point. Is having a business card, you want somebody, always like top of their mind, in their peripheral vision and around them. So if you have really good cards, it's more likely chance that somebody's going to hold on to it. What I hate that happens, which I'm so sorry that this happens more than once before, is that like when I go to networking events, I used to have like two pockets, one side for the cards I want to keep and the other side for cards I don't want to keep, right? Because, you spend that time, because what happens is after the event, if you're trying to sort all that out, and again, if you're at a large event and again, you get accosted by somebody who just wants to throw a business card at you, you end up with a pile. And I may be having a great conversation with somebody, but they may be like the fourth Michael I met that night. And I'm confused at this point which Michael it is. So if I get the piles messed up, I'm trying to look through and trying to figure out, oh crap, which Michael did I speak to and what did he work for and who did he work for? Which is why
same thing. I got the two pockets too.
Which is why it's a great idea to make sure that your business card reflects your brand, your personality, because I should be able to immediately be able to pull you out of the deck and be like, this is the right Michael that I was speaking to, because it matched exactly as the impression that I recall from the night before. So anyways, that's my 2 cents about business cards. What about you, Sevana? I can see you tearing up.
I just want to point out that we are more alike than we think, and we find this out, I think, every week. But yeah, I would do the same thing. But you know what else I would do, which just occurred to me when you were talking about the whole, cards in each pocket, is I would also carry a pen. And the person that there would be people that which I'm going to speak to here in a minute. There would be people where I'd be like, I know that this person's going to be important to me, but they're not important to me at this very moment. So I would make a note on the back of the card to say, met this person at blah, blah, blah. Keep this card or something along those lines. So that, like, say, for example, if it was, let's say if I had a client that has once upon a time mentioned to me that they needed to redo they needed to speak to an attorney. And let's say I met an attorney, but I know that my client's not ready for this attorney just yet. That's an example of me hanging onto the card and being like, I met this person at this event. Ari, the client's name maybe even, and then put do not throw away. Just so that I have it in hand. And then let's say in 3 months, that client is like, I really need to get in touch with an attorney. And then I can be like, you know what? I met this person. I haven't, maybe I have, maybe I haven't, whatever. Let's say I haven't. I haven't spoken to him, but I met him at an event and he seemed like a really great guy from the conversation that I had with him at that moment. Would you like me to share his information with you? So that's how I would utilize one of those cards where it's like, I don't really need it right now, but I might need it later. So
I feel like we're getting inside tips from a super connector.
Perhaps. Yeah, well, and and I may have mentioned it in the past, but I used to do events like nobody's business. I was day and night, any time of the day I was at an event. So I have a lot of tips. So firstly, you have to prepare yourself before you go to the event. This is probably the greatest tip I can give you. You got to know that you're going to have to carve out some time in the morning, the day after the event, to send follow-up emails to those you met that you want to continue a conversation with. So what I would normally do is, let's say if I had an event or I had events, during the day today, and maybe I have an event in the evening, I would know not to schedule anything for tomorrow morning so that I could carve out that time to send emails to the people that I met. Okay, so let's say it's the next day and you have that stack of business cards. Now it's time to divide and conquer. Put your cards into 3 piles. Important. These are the people you know you want to follow up with right away. Excuse me. If they made an impression on you that you feel is important, these need to be done before noon the following day, so you're still fresh in their mind. Hopefully you're still fresh in their mind. Now, then there's the not so important. These are people maybe you can't exactly connect with now, like I mentioned the attorney, but they could be of use to someone you want to be useful to. Then from there, not important at all. These are the cards you took and later regretted. Maybe these are even cards you took just to stop the conversation. You can move on. Whatever it is, if you have no use for these cards and no one you know will have use for these cards, just toss them now. I know you feel bad about it, whatever, but that person's never going to know. So your secret's safe with us. We've determined that cards can be a great way to both garner referral connections and potential clients. But what do you do if you have a card that you can't make heads or tails from? Or even worse, what if it's your card? So you were mentioning how you got a lot of compliments on your cards. Well, I would get cards where I would be like, ooh, this is a really nice card. But then I would get these cards that are in the shape of a flower, or they would be circular, or they would be, whatever they are. And I'm like, what even is this? Or they would be like these trifold cards. You're like, oh, I get it. You're in branding. I get it. I understand. You're in marketing, maybe?
The organization of my pile. Like, I can't stick this flower in the middle, a whole bunch of rectangular cards.
I used to go to a lot of networking events.
Yeah.
And in business events, there were chapters, organizations, chambers, advisory boards. I always saw the same thing from a handful of people. And sometimes it was the same handful of people. Cards that were either too dark to scan or read, like black cards, or those tone-on-tone cards. I don't know if you ever got those, but I would be like, okay, you're really trying to be fancy here, but this fanciness is not going to help me. They won't have their contact information on them. It'll just be their name and the business, and that's it. And they're being, I don't know.
They're trying to be cheeky.
Whatever. And I'm over here like, well, too bad, so sad. You're out into the trash you go. At the least, an email address. Cards are, at the least, they won't have an email address. The cards will be weirdly shaped like the flower, or they'll have so much art on them, I can't even tell what the business is. Like, where's the name? I don't even know. Do yourself and your business a favor. Take the time to design the right kind of business card. The feel, to me, is much further down the totem pole than the content. So we differ on that. I feel like, unless a printer will have you believe otherwise, I think what is on the card is more important than the thickness and the quality, the embossment and like all of that. It doesn't do a lick of difference for me if I don't have an email address, or I can't look at it without having to really look at it and see your email address. Because there are some where you have to search and then you turn it over and you're like, oh, there it is. Well, you're making my scanner angry. Keep the colors to a minimum of 3. Any more than that, and it's too busy. Use a white or a light colored background to make it easy for a person to scan. Now, I get that scanners are not that popular anymore, but a lot of people still use scanners in some way, shape, or form, whether they're using a scanner app on their phone or they're using an actual physical scanner. It's still difficult. The technology has not gotten to the point where they can see the gold lettering on your yellow card. Okay. So you have to make it easy. Have the name of your business be the largest font. It has to be clear what the business name is. Under that, have your name, your position, your contact information, and maybe a quick synopsis of what your company does if the name isn't clear. For example, mine has my company name, Versatile Solutions. But the name isn't clear as to what we do. So, because when you hear that name, you don't think automatically, oh, this is what they do. No, underneath that in smaller letters and under my contact info, I have back office support services. If you have a tagline and your tagline is short and sweet, maybe you could add that in there too. I put my logo on there. You can choose to use a muted background. It's easy to scan, easy to read, tells you what you do and how you can solve issues, maybe, if that's what your tagline is. Take a look at your card to make sure yours gives all the same information. This isn't a place where you should be flexing your artistic muscles. If you want art, paint a wall, paint some furniture, keep your business cards professional. I'm sure there are people that will disagree with me, but I don't care. They can't disagree with me while I'm recording this. So there you go.
Not on the podcast, they can't.
Yeah, nope, you can't. But I personally really truly feel that your card should be pretty conservative in that it has all of your contact information or whatever. If you want to put a pretty design on there, that's fine. But again, you have to keep it somewhat simple. A photo of yourself can be very effective. If you have a professional headshot, include that in your card, provided there's room for it, so that a person can remember, who you are when they come across that card again a few months later. I have to say that when I get those cards that have a person's picture on them, they're fantastic to me because I'll be flipping through my cards looking for somebody and they're like, oh yeah, I remember that person.
Well, so the only thing I would say about that is, I don't know if you've had this experience, but I've had cards where, well, let's just say the picture doesn't quite look like the person in real life.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, I agree with that.
The picture was taken maybe a handful of years ago.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so this isn't Tinder. Please put a picture that looks the most like you right now, if you're going to be putting a picture. So that's a really great tip, because you're right. There have been a few times where I've had a meeting with someone and I'm like, you really don't. I'm looking at you and I'm looking at you there, and the card and the you are not the same. I can say honestly that my photo that I have of me is what I look like 24 hours a day. So
I can help with that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Some argue that business cards are becoming a thing of the past, and they're a really archaic way of keeping in touch, much like Facebook. And they'll say that taking down information directly into your phone is the wave of the future. And I know, it's funny. I've heard that in the West Coast, that's really all people do. I can't say that for here because I'm sure that works for some people. And if that's something you'd prefer, you've got my blessing. But for me, I don't like numbers in my phone that belong to people I don't personally know. How many times have I gone through my phone and I'm like, who the heck is this? And it's not even somebody I met at a networking event. It's probably one of my kids' friends' parents. And I'm like, I don't know who you are. Delete. It takes me forever to sift through contacts. I don't need to add others that I may or may not speak to again. If this is common in the area you live in, by all means, go ahead. But for me, I think the business card is still a very effective way of sharing contact information, which can then get scanned, and then you can throw the card away after that. Oh, and a side note, I've certainly fallen into the trap of taking everyone's business cards out of politeness and then ending up with hundreds of cards. I only take the cards now of those persons I want to connect with. If you're throwing away cards, that others are throwing away yours too. So just be mindful. I, to be honest, haven't been to a whole lot of events since Zoom became an option. So, what I will do though instead is, and I have been seeing this, is digital cards. People will send digital cards via Zoom, which is fine with me too, because then I can take their information and put it into my contact list. But if you do go to events, and you have business cards, I don't suggest you take more than 15 cards with you. That way, in your mind, you're only going to be giving away 15 cards or 10 cards or whatever. And you will only give it to the people that you actually want to have your card. Again, If you spend a lot of money on these things, you don't want to just be giving them away willy-nilly. You'll want to give them to the people that are actually going to maybe make use of them. So, a good rule of thumb, it's if you meet someone and you politely separate ways, you don't have to give them a card. If you shook hands, you can give them a business card.
Oh, that's a pretty easy thing to remember.
Yeah. So tell me, what are your thoughts? Are cards to you a thing of the past, or do you feel like they are still just as much a part of doing business as they have ever been?
I don't think it's 100% a thing of the past. I can't speak for the new class of young folks.
Yeah, right.
My personal opinion is, I just like having something physical to give away when you meet somebody face to face that you really want to connect with afterwards, right? So I'm still old fashioned. I'm the girl who still actually read books from the library. But
wow.
I have a library card. I'm proud of it.
Hey, so do I. Woo woo.
But I will tell you that I am not one person to hold on to business cards. So I don't like having piles of business cards just kind of laying around. I do use it more of like a bridge for like the follow-up digital connection. So whether that be like an email or like a LinkedIn or some kind of digital storage, the contact info, I use it for that. And then I throw it out, now. So, yeah. I mean, if I get a really great card, maybe I'll hold on to it. But now I'm a little bit more minimalist about that in the sense of, once I make the connection, once I have it digitally stored, I kind of throw out the paper.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
What about you?
I am a tactile person. I have to touch it. So I feel the same way about books. I have to touch the business card. I do keep some business cards. I probably have, and I have a business card holder, and there's 5 cards on there. And these are not people that I would necessarily, and honestly, the reason why I've kept their cards is to remind me of them, because they have been good resources to clients of mine, but they're not really somebody that I would work with. And then there's a couple of cards that I've kept for friends of mine that I think that they would appreciate a connection to. And so I've held on to those clients, or those cards, but those aren't people that I would ever contact. And the whole reason why I kept those cards is so that I would remember, just because of, I don't know, it's a tactile memory thing for me. If I can physically see it and I can physically touch it, then I'll remember that person. But if I throw away that important person's business card, then I'll be like, oh crap, I don't even know what number to look up if I were to like look for an email or, something like that.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, it is hard to look up something you don't no longer remember, even if it is digitally stored. If you don't know where to start or what alphabet to search, doesn't help.
Yeah. So I mean, but again, I think we both, agree that it's better to be minimalistic about it. I mean, I remember years ago when we used to offer scanning. Like, scanning was a service my company offered. I think that's hilarious to this day. We used to offer scanning because there was so much scanning business. And we used to just sit there and scan business cards for people. I've had people give us business card projects that would be anywhere between 500 and 1,500 cards.
Wow. How do you keep all that even straight after you do scan it all in?
Why do you have this, right? Why do you have this many cards? I do understand that people will use those cards, and I have done that as well, as a way to build a database. But this goes back to what we were talking about in our last episode. Before you give someone a card, before you receive a card from someone, you have to ask them, are you okay with, I have a newsletter. I send it out once a month, and this is what I talk about in it. Before you give me your card, are you okay with me putting you on my newsletter?
So that actually brings up a good point, because you're right. People used to collect cards to basically auto-subscribe them onto whatever their newsletter or email blast is, which I personally found incredibly annoying. But, I understand there's also an unsubscribe button, but I don't know. I mean, this seems a little evasive, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's not evasive, but invasive.
Yeah. No, and so that's the reason why before you take a card from someone, if you do have some level of marketing, you have to ask, and you may want to put that person on your marketing list. You have to ask them first whether or not the card that you're receiving is a physical card or if you're exchanging data with one another, like you're putting each other's phone numbers in each other's phones. And I also suggest that if that person says, yes, I want to be, or no, I don't want to be, like I said, I used to keep a pen in my pocket, and I always made sure I wore something that had a pocket as a woman, because for whatever reason, women's dresses don't have pockets. They did in the 19th century and the 18th century and everything. They don't have them now. I don't know what happened. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. But keep a pen in your pocket, and then you can write Y or N, whatever system it is that works for you. And if you ended up collecting, say, 10, 15, 20 cards, and all of them were yeses, okay, now you can put them on your distribution list. Or if all of them were N's, then because we have so much information being thrown at us every day, all day long. Believe me, you will not remember. If you have the kind of memory that is like a steel steel trap, then great. But I know I don't.
I think all of us kind of have the attention span and the memory of like a goldfish.
Yeah, for sure. So that's why it's important for you to write it on the back of it, just real quick. Whatever kind of code works for you, code word works for you. Doesn't have to be a full-on note, but just whatever code word you think would work for you, just write it on there. And then it makes your job the next morning a lot easier.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we've gotten to a world yet where business cards aren't being used at all, unless I guess it sounds like if you live in the West Coast, but hey.
Yeah. I was surprised by that. I was surprised that I heard it from a few different people where I mean, maybe it's just the circles that they're in, but I was like, why would I want 500 people? I don't even know who half the people on my own phone are anymore. And I put them in there purposely.
I mean, I do feel like there's a level of like professionalism or like, I mean, there is a proof of professionalism when you do have a card. Mm-hmm. And especially if there's actually thought put in your card so that it does become an extension of your brand and your business. Yeah. I think that is all very important still. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure. Maybe one day we'll move to the West Coast world of doing things, although it wouldn't be the first time that the West Coast does something that makes absolutely no sense to the East Coast. Like Slack
to our West Coast listeners, but I hope you understand what we're trying to say there.
So, we'll see how that actually all works out, though. But like I said, I think I'm kind of like you, kind of tactile, and also just need a little something physical. That's all. Yep. When we talk about like meeting and connecting, not just not a swap of a phone number.
Yes, I agree. And just to reiterate, I truly believe that the card is an extension of the conversation you have when you are networking. It's not a good idea for you to kind of, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. What do you do? Blah, blah, blah. And then just walk away. Don't do that with your card either. In each episode, we like to connect a famous example to our discussion to help you relate our talking points on a more global or well-recognized scale. Sometimes we use exact examples of either famous persons or successful business owners of today or in history, and sometimes we use examples of people who inspire us and have inspired today's discussion.
So here's a good example of why business cards can create a lasting impression, if not a legendary one. Ooh. But before I go into this, if you have kids who are listening to this and those who are maybe sensitive to bad language or cursing, please cover their ears for the next few minutes as I share this story, because the curse word is necessary in order to convey the essence of the story. All right, so my famous example is Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg. So back when Facebook was actually known as the Facebook, that's right, there was the before Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg was a 22-year-old CEO who was on the verge of an exploding company. And during that time, he was known to coin the phrase that made its way onto his business card. So recently, I think in the last handful of years, Brian Veloso, who designed the cards, actually shared the story on Quora. He said, as for Mark's card, it's no secret that Mark looked up to Steve Jobs at the time. When Aaron Sigtig, who is another designer at Facebook, and I were the only designers in late 2005, he would hold his design meetings with us, he meaning Mark Zuckerberg, in the classic aggressive Steve Jobs style. And it was during one of those meetings that I remember him first uttering the phrase, "I'm CEO, bitch."
That's awesome.
Countless designs are referred to as happy accidents, and this would be a prime example of that. Because of the relationship that Mark Zuckerberg and I had at that time, I felt comfortable having fun with his tagline. So quite simply, it was a phrase I typed in that stuck on the business card. So feel free to fish for more meaning about the explanation of this bland and uneventful event of how he got to his first business card. But herein lies the wonder of design. Sometimes the best part of a piece of work is the meaning people pull out of it. Eventually, during my tenure at Facebook, the fabled cards were pulled and subsequently replaced. In this designer's view, these retired cards were an excellent representation of the company's culture at the time. Their replacement reflected the change a very young Facebook company needed to go through in order to be where it is today. So back then, Mark Zuckerberg, at 22 years of age, were out dishing business cards where it essentially said Mark Zuckerberg, and underneath it says, "I'm CEO, bitch."
That cracks me up.
So it's actually really funny because the only reason that I even knew about this story is a friend of mine actually has a card from Mark Zuckerberg back in the day that he keeps it as a story.
No way.
But it's a real thing. You can Google it. People have pictures of the Mark Zuckerberg card that says, "I'm CEO, bitch." And that's what he handed out. Back in the day, when Facebook was starting out, as interesting as the tagline is to his business card, it really was a reflection of where the company was then, right? Mm-hmm. It was exactly what his attitude was. I think certainly once you read his name and read that line, you're like, oh, I remember the young fella I was speaking to.
It's definitely memorable.
Yeah. So it's definitely legendary in the business card history books.
That's pretty cool. Well, I don't have such a cool story. Womp womp. All right. Well, I kind of dug into what the history of the business card is because I started asking that question of myself, like, where did the business card even come from? So, today's business card must have been something that originated in the 20th century. It had to, in my opinion, but who got that idea? The business card roots back to 15th century China, where these cards would let people know they were coming in advance as a courtesy call ahead of visiting a friend or an acquaintance. Later, in the 17th century, they were used as trade cards in England to both advertise and as maps, as there were no formal street numbers in London at that time. I thought that was kind of cool. Like, here's how you get to me. Oftentimes, these were also used as calling cards. I guess if anybody watches Bridgerton, you may remember the scenes where the girls had their calling cards on their wrists. This is a way to address the person's lineage. Many aristocrats would use these when looking for the right suitor for their daughter. Gentlemen would use these cards to contact ladies, sticking to a strict etiquette when presenting the card to the household and when awaiting a reply. So, basically the women would have it on or the ladies, the girls, would have it on their wrist, and the suitor that they were most smitten with would take that card, and then their persons would call upon the house of the lady and say, hey, Sir Lancelot is going to be coming over for tea. And then the gentleman would present the card and say, I'm Sir Lancelot, and here's the card, and this is me coming in, and hopefully I'll get to marry your daughter. They were so
tender for the 17th century.
I mean, I thought that was pretty cool. They were, and the calling cards were so important. They were very, very important. The quality of what the card looked like would either make or break you in society. Some people would even take them and they would be so beautifully stylized that some people would even frame them and like as if they were artwork, or they would use them as a bookmark, or they would do something, along those lines. But that's how beautiful these calling cards would be.
That would actually make a lot of sense, because I think I recall reading, I want to say it's Gone with the Wind. Mm-hmm. And back then calling cards were a thing, and mm-hmm. you were poor, you would actually, you would try to kind of reuse your calling cards. Yeah. So I recall they were writing something about how they were trying to make sure that this get wrinkled. And then when you send your card out and the event is over or they decide not to call upon you, I don't know what happens. Yeah. They actually have like logistically a way to kind of return everybody's cards to them so then they can, reuse it. Mm-hmm. And then I remember in Gone with the Wind, I think maybe the second book was Scarlet, when she became really rich, right? Mm-hmm. So like uber rich. She would be so prideful about how pretty her calling cards were and how they were like the best stock and like the best like lettered calling card.
Yeah. Yeah, isn't that cool? I wonder if we ever get our cards back. I don't get my cards back. Anyway, by the early 18th century, trade cards, which we now call business cards, became a widespread advertising medium promoting everything you can imagine. The advances in chromolithography at that time had made colorful creations possible, and some, and as I said, used them as home decorations. So not only your calling card, but some of these companies or storefronts, trade cards or business cards would be used as home decoration. And then from there, by the early 20th century, personal business cards began to see circulation, and the modern business card was born. So mine's not as exciting as yours, but there we go.
Hey, yours is informative and historical, and that's exactly what we should learn.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for those beautiful, those advances in chromolithography, then maybe Mark Zuckerberg would not have been able to say what he said.
Can you say that word again 3 times fast?
No. Anyway, chromolithography. Okay. Anyway, with each episode, we like to share either books, tools, apps, platforms, or anything we think is a great next step and connector to our discussion. So if you like our subject matter and you want to learn more, you'll have a great place to start. Take it away.
So my recommendation is moo.com. So moo, like the noise a cow makes, moo. moo.com. But I love their card designs. I love all of what they do. I love the stock that they choose from. And of course, certainly that's where I got my cards and the design that went with it. So whenever I need to do any kind of marketing materials, usually along the lines of physical handout, like marketing materials, I would go to moo.com to order it. So check it out.
I'm going to write that one down.
And the second recommendation I have is keep your LinkedIn profile updated. LinkedIn was very popular before COVID. It's probably even more popular after COVID, only because everybody had to connect digitally through Zoom or through these virtual events that, like you were saying, you couldn't pass around a physical card. So what most people did was go on LinkedIn and make the connection there. And it's also a great way to stay connected because there's so much information about the person on LinkedIn. It's more than beyond your business card, and you can keep in contact with them. So as you move from place to place, if you're updating your LinkedIn profile and your email that's associated with it, somebody can contact you. They won't reveal what your email address is, but you can always make sure it is the most up-to-date email account that you're using so that you can actually get the message. So that would be my second and last recommendation is, look at your LinkedIn account, keep that updated and use that to build your network.
Awesome. Well, if you have a card scanner, use it now to get these cards digital. There are some great card scanners out there. I personally use my scanner and upload into Airtable. I keep a running list and organize them by profession so that I can easily find those contacts in any field. When I keep these contacts separated by industry, I can then target a market for when I'm giving a presentation or leading a workshop that they would be interested in. And if there is someone I want to get into their good graces, I have a host of contacts that I can contact to see if that colleague is a good fit. And then I'll make the connection. But this is important. Before referring anyone, always contact that person first. Ask them if they would like this particular connection. And then if they say yes, make the connection. That way, they're expecting one another. You've broken the ice, and the chances it turns into something solid becomes greater than if you blindly introduce them. That makes sense? Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, it's always good to ask, right?
Yes.
Is so-and-so a good connection for you? If anything, at least to give them a heads up, you're about to make an introduction for them. But, a lot of people will not appreciate strangers randomly introduced to them and now they're obligated to actually respond. So just be polite and be courteous.
Right. And I also suggest, in order for it to turn into a warm lead, I don't like it when someone says, hey, one of my clients I told them about you and you should be expecting a call from them. Well, guess what? Your client's not going to call me because they've got 500 million other things going on in their lives and they're going to forget. What is so much better is saying, hey, I've got a client. I think they would be a really good fit for you. I'm going to make a email introduction. Is that all right? This is what they need. Does that work for you? Yes. Okay, great. You have to make the connection between the two of them via email. And then if neither of them, if you or the other person don't respond, then that's between the two of you. But someone made a formal introduction to you, not just I gave my client your card that you gave me. They're going to call you. No, it doesn't work like that.
I agree with that.
Yeah. There are other scanning options on the scene that some are costly and some are not, but it's good to do some research on them. So there's Abby, ABBY, Camcard, Wantedly, Evernote, and Full Contact, to name a few. But whatever scanner you use, it's important you do this as soon as possible so that those cards don't sit on your desk collecting dust. Now they're working for you. So please join us for our next episode where we will discuss part 3 of our 4-part series, Mastering the One-to-One. What does one-to-one mean? So one-to-one is a common terminology used by individuals that do a lot of networking, where it's basically a face-to-face meeting. A lot of these face-to-face meetings are being done over Zoom, but if you and the other person are feeling comfortable, they're generally done over a cup of coffee or over lunch or something like that. So when we say one-to-one, that's what we mean. It's a face-to-face meeting. This concludes our 2021 podcasts. Please join us next year where we will continue our 4-part series where we will discuss mastering the one-to-one. But wait, we will have a special message out before the year is over to share our plans for 2022. Please stay tuned. Thanks. Bye.